Hello, and thank you for your submission. In this essay, as you can see, some areas are highlighted in red, and that means that they are grammar mistakes. Some areas are highlighted in green, and that means they are vocabulary mistakes, or I have made vocabulary suggestions. And some areas I have highlighted in italics, and I have rewritten part of the sentence to show you how you could write in a more formal manner, which would increase your marks. Thank you for sending the reading and the lecture notes. It helps very much to mark your essay. Let's begin. The reading and the lecture are both about voting system in the USA, which is a way that people can elect their desired person for governing the USA. I'm going to stop there. Here we have a combination of adjective and noun. When you have an adjective and noun, if your noun is used in singular form, it's single, but it is a countable noun, you have to either give your adjective and noun an article, are both about a voting system, or if you want to use it in the plural form, then you would have to write the noun in plural, are both about voting systems in the USA. For now, I'm going to leave this as plural, but it's your choice if you want to use it as plural or single. If it is going to be single, we need to have an article. Are both about voting systems in the USA, which is a way that people can elect their desired person for governing the USA. The author in the reading believes that voting systems, similar to what we had before, in the USA, so then if it's systems, the verb is going to change, are inefficient. Now, inefficient is grammatically correct that you've used, but this is a word that was already used either in the text or in the listening recording. So one way of getting a higher score in the writing of TOEFL is to use synonyms or to paraphrase the information you've already been given. So it's very good to use a different word to the reading or the listening. In the USA are incompetent and need, because our noun is plural, need to be computerized. The lecturer casts doubt on the claims made in the article. Very good. He says that computer technology would not make the voting much better. Now, there is a difference, I'm sure you are aware, between much better and any better. Much better is when the first voting system is good. The second voting system will not be any different or will not be very much different. So both of them are okay and acceptable. Any better means that the first voting system has flaws, is faulty and is bad, it's got problems, and therefore the second voting system is not any better, is still going to have problems as well. So you would use any better when both of them have major problems. You would use this when both of them are okay and acceptable. So that's your choice which one you want to choose. I just wanted to make you aware. First of all, the author points out that people with poor eyesight can manually mark a wrong candidate in a very long list, and this will make false incorrect voting for unwanted, undesired person. Now, before I continue any further, there's one point I'd like to point out, and that is that with integrated writing in the TOEFL, if you want to get a higher score, it is much better to first address the speaker, first talk about what the lecturer said, and then write how the text or the writing or the author contest or casts doubt on the topic. So first you would address the lecture and then you would say how the writing agrees or disagrees or challenges the information in the listening. So that's one very good way of getting high scores. Now let's go back. Here you have said make false or incorrect voting. We don't make voting. It can cause incorrect or false voting. So I'm just going to change the verb there. For unwanted, undesired person. Undesired person, if it's used before the noun, then it's an adjective, so it's undesirable person. And again, as we discussed before, when you have adjective or adjectives, you have a noun, your noun is single, but it can be countable. We need to use an article. An unwanted, undesirable person. The lecturer challenges this point. He thinks that people fear of using technology. If you want to use fear of using, you need to have a verb, have fear of using technology. So have would be the main verb. If you want to use fear as the main verb, then you would say fear use of technology. Fear use of technology. So fear would be the main verb. Furthermore, this will make them not to be able to correctly choose their voters. Now, instead of writing these four words, we can just give it a very simple one-worded adjective. This will make them unable to correctly choose their voters. Now, there is a different way that you could write this to get a slightly higher score overall, and that is, furthermore, this might be a barrier to making a correct selection. A barrier is when something has become more difficult. So completing the job is a little bit more difficult because there is a problem. So this might actually create a problem to making a correct selection. It's just a different way of writing if you choose to write this way. Secondly, the author highlights that officials eventually count manually thousands of ballots. You have an adverb here, manually. This has to go before your main verb. So manually count. We're going to change the order there. The adverb would go before the main verb. The adverb, as you know, usually goes at the beginning or the end of a sentence. If it's in the middle of the sentence, it has to be very close to the verb, usually occurring before the main verb. Thousands of ballots. However, this is inevitable that they will make mistakes. This is fine. A different way of writing this is, however, the occurrence of errors is inevitable. So as you can see, we've just used slightly higher or slightly more formal vocabulary, and we've changed the word order. And will cost a lot to repeat the counting process again. Now I'm just going to put the word again in brackets. When you repeat something, that means you do it for the second time. If you repeat it again, that suggests that you're doing it for the third time. So please pay attention to the word again. This argument is rebutted by the lecturer. Very good. He mentions that humans in general, not just one human, humans can miss only few ballots. Again, this is the same as what we have before. Only miss. Can only miss few ballots. So that's the order of the word. And then we have few ballots. Now, we talked about this before, a few ballots or few ballots. There is a difference in meaning between few and a few. One of them obviously means more, one of them means less. On the contrary, computers, again in general, can miss thousands of records that will make the voting a real mess. That's fine, but this is slightly informal. It's what you would use in a speaking conversation. To make this slightly more formal, we would say, can miss thousands of records that will void the voting results. It will, obviously it's created a mess which has to be cancelled. It will cancel the voting results. That's just a different way of saying it using slightly higher vocabulary. Finally, the author illustrates that computer technology we need has become, yes, has become, which means we don't need the S, has become a must-have, has become a must-have in effective communication. So computer technology has become a must-have. So everybody has to have it in effective communication. And less errors, we need a verb, whether in banking or other sensitive information. Less errors occur, but we've used occur previously somewhere else in the text. So you can use the word surface. And this is the same meaning as happen. Happen is slightly more informal. If we want to use a formal substitute, we would say surface. Less errors surface, whether in banking or other sensitive information. A very good formal word. The professor, on the other hand, feels that there is still more time needed to improve computer technology to be adopted. We've rewritten that. Is more time needed to adopt and improve computer technology. So we need to adopt this form of communication and improve it. So that's the correct way and word order of using that information. In voting, he puts forth the idea that voting occurs once every 2 years or every other year, yes, so that this is not a big deal to handle votes without computer technology. And your conclusion. A very well written, a very easy to follow, logical writing that you have used here. Very well written. So for this type of essay you would score 4 out of 5. Very good. Thank you for your submission.